I think that this group needs to have further discussion about high-stakes testing to determine if it is something that we want to impose upon the young people that we're serving. We're charged with the big picture thinking that sort of helps sets the policy and procedures for the superintendent and the administrative team to move forward. So I feel that it's really important for us to, as a group, to increase our knowledge and determine where we're at in terms of high-stakes testing. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Okay. Ms. Hennessy?
Yeah. I hear what you're saying about the Mass Board of Education not voted to accept that yet, and that we get to vote. And I agree with Pam in some ways. I think that it would be a great opportunity for us to either write a letter expressing our concerns about high-stake testing, or minimally PARCC, for so many reasons, and how it was pushed in the way that it was, that it's untimed, that it is trying to address an issue that I feel like it's exacerbating some of the problems. I don't think we can't do this now, but I do think that Northampton is a community that would be meaningful if we had a letter or a comment, a public comment, saying that we had some concerns about what's happening in education now. And we all have anecdotes, and I'm not against standardized testing. I'm against the high stakes nature of them, that I think so much research shows that it is not helping, and that teachers at a local level know how students are doing, and they know how to make assessments. And it might not do anything. I actually understand what you're saying, except that I think if we keep thinking that nothing is going to happen and we don't say anything, then nothing will happen. And so I'd love to engage in that discussion. And I personally would love to have, I don't know, a letter or a statement. So that's my comment.
Okay. Ms. Minnan?
I actually attended the Collaborative for Educational Services Board meeting last night, and I asked them to put on the agenda new business, and under new business I raised this issue of PARCC testing because I know it's a concern for our community. Amherst Regional had a meeting specifically about it earlier this week, at which they discussed it, and they have, I think community members there have similar concerns to the ones that were expressed by community members here this evening. I also know that people from other districts, and the Collaborative, there were a number of districts there. Not all of us were participating. This was we had run out of time by the time we got to new business, so we adjourned our meeting, but several people stayed after to just talk about it briefly, and things ranged from we were being asked to vote whether to do MCAS or PARCC. She said, and we didn't even, it just showed up on our agenda and we had no background, to Amherst, which has now had a forum on it and talked about it. So there's a variety of levels of understanding of what the test is about. And there's also, needless to say, a variety of opinions about the whole thing. I agree with much of what you said and with what you've said. I also think that the Collaborative is well positioned to make a statement that carries even more weight because there are a great number more districts. However, the Collaborative is not ready at this moment in time to take an advocacy position because we haven't had the discussion yet. But it will be interesting to see over the next 4 to 6 months maybe if we can have that discussion with the Collaborative and in our individual communities and come up with what we think about this, whether, and I applaud the decision, or actually applaud, I guess I appreciate very much the background that the superintendent has given us about their decision and the administrative leadership team, and their decision was clearly made on some very practical reasons, arguments for not participating in the coming year. I think this body obviously needs to have the discussion about high-stakes testing and how we feel. I don't think that this body in and of itself is prepared to take a position that would put us at risk for losing state funding or accreditation of our high school or something like that. However, if we felt like there were enough other districts to get with us, that we could make some noise, if you will, or just at least bring attention to a concern, I think that would be the right way for us to go. So, yes, a letter from us would be great if we can come to a decision, but even participation in and coming up with a position from the collaborative, maybe we do both. But I'm just suggesting that. So.
Okay. Ms. Duvall?
Well, I understand, and I do happen to agree a little bit with what everyone's saying because we don't know an awful lot about it. However, we've been having MCAS for years now, and we're being asked to change over to PARCC, probably. I would like to make a motion to continue with the MCAS as we've been asked to do by the superintendent, by the administrative leadership team, because of the reasons that we've been given, that one of them is the comparison level, being able to compare for our level 3 schools, to be able to compare the results. And we don't know where PARCC is going. We haven't had the in-depth discussions. Maybe we need to have the in-depth discussions about high-stakes testing in the, just in general. However, in the meanwhile, we do have to make a decision one way or the other. So that's why I would like to move to accept MCAS for this year, because to me, logically, it doesn't make sense to try to implement something that we really don't know about and haven't decided about. It's better like the devil we know than the devil we don't. And so I'm making a motion.
Okay. So there's been a motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. And it sounds like coming out of this discussion, there's some interest in having a more extended discussion about this, and that may be something we can discuss with Superintendent Provost when he arrives. I think that might be a great thing for us to work on in some of our early discussions with him.
We also have that June 18th that somebody has organized for us all to get together on June 18th to get together and talk about PARCCs, and I think they're going to be doing more presenting than that, and I'm hoping that everybody goes so that we have that information and knowledge, and I'm hoping that we're also not being pressured that night into having an opinion and making an opinion right then. I hope it's that they're very respectful to us as far as giving us the information that they feel that we are either lacking or need to know.
Okay.
Oh.
Sorry.
And I, for one, want to hear opinions on across the board. People who, really support each one of the tests and people who don't support it, so that I can make a well-informed, I can develop my opinion and be well-informed.
Ms. Hennessy.
Yeah, I was going to say about the June 18th, and I think my understanding from them is that they want to hear our opinions, but in no way are they forcing us into anything. It's really to start a community discussion that needs to happen. I'm going to quote Abraham Lincoln poorly, but if you have public sentiment, you will have success. If you don't, you will fail. And I think that this is a community building opportunity for us. And I want to hear everyone's opinion, but I think that June 18th would be a great start.
Okay.
I just want to, I think the practical reasons that the superintendent listed for not going with PARCC make a lot of sense. I just want to highlight one, because it's near and dear to me. It's the requirement that all the tests have to happen online is a very onerous one, not because our school district doesn't have the technological infrastructure to do it, just because it's very difficult to do that for 2,300 students all at once, and that's hard. So I just wanted to point out that it's not just a deficiency. It's not a deficiency in our district. It's just too much of a demand on the test.
Okay, so there's been a motion made and seconded to accept the superintendent and all teams' recommendation to stay with MCAS for the 2014-2015 school year. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstention.
There's one abstention. Okay, so the motion carries.